The Galactic Council's chamber was massive, carved into the very heart of the station that floated at the center of neutral space. Races from all corners of the galaxy filled the grand hall, chittering, whispering, or humming in their own languages. Peace had long been maintained through diplomacy. Treaties signed, words exchanged, wars avoided. The arrival of a new species, however, humanity, had stirred ancient anxieties. They were young by galactic standards. No ancient ruins traced back to their name. No long line of star kings or time-honored empires. Earth was a speck in a quiet spiral arm. The Council expected explorers, maybe scientists. Idealists, perhaps. What they got wasn't that. When the doors to the Council opened, every being turned to witness their entrance. 3 humans walked in. Tall, broad-shouldered. Each one wore a dark suit, impeccably tailored, with no visible weapons. But the way they moved, controlled, precise, like predators who didn't need to snarl or roar, sent a chill through species that hadn't feared in centuries. Their leader, a woman named Vance, was the first to speak. "I'm Ambassador Vance. Earth accepts the Council's invitation to speak." The High Speaker, a gaseous being whose voice trembled through crystalline rings, replied, "We welcome you. Are you not diplomats?" One of the other humans smiled. It was not a warm smile. "We're the closest thing Earth has to that," Vance said. "We're sent to make sure things stay civil. And if they don't," asked a reptilian dignitary with too many teeth, "then things get very uncivil, very quickly." A silence settled in the chamber. The humans didn't flinch under the stares of dozens of species. Their eyes scanned the room like scanners, reading posture, body language, intent. It wasn't bravado. It was instinct. In truth, Earth hadn't meant to send diplomats. The planet's history of colonialism, wars, manipulation, and broken treaties had left their leaders skeptical of trusting sweet words alone. So they sent operatives trained in both diplomacy and threat assessment. Men and women capable of smiling across a table and flipping it over in seconds if things went sideways. In their suits, they looked harmless. But every twitch of muscle said otherwise. Vance continued, "Earth seeks peaceful cooperation. We come bearing no threats, no demands. But we do expect mutual respect." An aquatic delegate from the Draylen Confederacy croaked. "And if respect is not given, then we leave," said Vance, "and seal our borders. And if you try to test them." She paused, letting that thought hang in the room. Another human, tall with silver in his hair, added, "We're not conquerors. But we're not prey, either." Whispers broke out across the chamber. Prey. It was the unspoken word most species avoided. Over the millennia, most spacefaring races had softened. War was rare, conflicts resolved in courts and councils. The idea that a species might not just survive violence, but thrive in it, that disturbed many. What truly unsettled them wasn't the humans' words. It was the weight behind them. The Zarin Empire's representative, known for their brutal expansionist past, narrowed his eyes. "Are you threatening the Council?" Vance turned and looked at him. "No. I'm reminding you what happens when predators are backed into a corner." There was nothing raised in her voice, nothing aggressive in her tone, but her presence, her posture, and the flicker in her eyes made half the room uncomfortable. The Council asked about Earth's military, its fleets, its history. They answered without flinching. Wars fought between nations, weapons capable of erasing cities in seconds. Soldiers trained to kill in every environment, desert, sea, forest, space. An entire global civilization born in violence and clawed toward peace, dragging its nightmares with it. "Why?" the High Speaker asked. "Would a race like yours choose diplomacy now?" Vance looked him directly in the eyes, if they could be called that. "Because we know what happens when we don't." They showed no pride in their past. No shame either. Just awareness. And that, more than anything, made the rest of the Council uneasy. Humans were not afraid of the galaxy. They were cautious, yes, but not timid. And in them, other species saw something they had long forgotten. Danger. The kind of danger that didn't come from cruelty or hunger, but from sheer capability. After the meeting, as the humans left, one alien delegate whispered to another, "They're not diplomats. They're predators in disguise." The human closest to them, the one with silver in his hair, paused. He turned slightly, smiled at them with that same unsettling calm, and said, "We're not in disguise." Then they were gone. And the chamber sat in silence, the way prey does after glimpsing something that just stepped out of the forest. The next day, the council gathered again. But the mood had shifted. Gone was the quiet arrogance that usually coated the chamber like expensive perfume. The presence of humans had left a scent behind, one of discomfort, of uncertainty. They hadn't made any threats. They hadn't raised their voices. But every representative knew, deep down, that Earth was not just another young species begging for trade routes. They were something else. The humans returned, same dark suits, same calm expressions. But this time, the seats around them weren't just occupied. They were watched. Every movement, every blink, was monitored. The council wanted to understand what they had invited in. Ambassador Vance greeted the room with the same cool confidence. "Before we begin, Earth would like to request clarity on one matter," she said. The High Speaker nodded. "Proceed. There are rumors that certain factions within the council wish to test our defenses. See how serious our warnings were yesterday." A nervous shuffle rippled through the room. The humans hadn't even sat down yet. The Drayland delegate, the one who scoffed at their presence before, clicked his teeth. "Rumors are not policy." Vance smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Earth takes rumors seriously." She gestured, and the human beside her placed a small device on the central table. With a tap, a hologram bloomed. A scene unfolded, grainy surveillance from the outer edge of Earth's solar system. A ship, not human. Sleek, silent, hidden in the shadow of Neptune. 2 days ago, Vance said, a vessel from a known council member entered our space cloaked. It didn't transmit identity. It didn't respond to hails. It watched. Someone in the chamber hissed. Vance continued, our defense satellite saw it. Our AI tagged it. We have footage of the ship's engine profile, its EM signature, and its crew manifest. She let that settle. We didn't destroy it. We didn't retaliate. But we did log everything, and we sent a quiet message back. Another tap on the device. This time, the footage was different. The same alien ship, weeks earlier, orbiting a lifeless moon. Suddenly, that moon wasn't lifeless anymore. A small object, a probe, had been launched from Earth. A kinetic interceptor, too fast to dodge, too silent to detect in time. It struck the ship's hull, severing a sensor array clean off without touching the crew. A warning shot, fired across light years with precision most species couldn't dream of. Earth had let them live, and made sure they knew it. Gasps escaped across the chamber. The Zarin representative growled. "You call that diplomacy?" Vance turned toward him. "We call it restraint." No one spoke. Finally, the High Speaker broke the tension. "We will open a formal investigation into this unauthorized surveillance mission, and Earth's response will be reviewed under our charter." "Take all the time you need," Vance replied. "But know this, if another unmarked ship enters our system, we won't miss next time." The calm in her voice was what made it truly terrifying. After the meeting, several delegates approached the humans, cautiously curious. One, a bird-like creature from the Navari Federation, tilted its head. "You move like hunters, but you claim peace." Vance shrugged. "We know what we are. We've spent thousands of years trying to be better, but we'll never pretend we're harmless." "And your suits?" the Navari asked, studying the matte black fabric. "Uniforms, armor, symbols. For what?" "For everything that came before us. Everything we survived. Everything we'll protect." Later that day, messages began arriving from various factions. Not demands, not insults, but offers. Of trade, of defense cooperation, of strategic partnerships. Because while many feared the humans, others understood something deeper. Earth wasn't just powerful, it was disciplined, and it had made a choice to be here, not because it needed allies, but because it wanted them. The High Speaker called a recess and spoke privately with the other senior delegates. "The humans are dangerous," he said. "Yes," said the Zarin. "But so were we once." The High Speaker nodded. "Perhaps that is why we must be careful." "Or perhaps," said a small voice from the shadows, "we should remember what happens when we mistake a wolf for a dog." The council chamber doors closed behind them with a low hiss, but the tension inside lingered like smoke. Earth's delegation had left. They hadn't stormed out. No threats, no demands. But every representative left behind felt as if the humans had walked out with a loaded weapon no one could see. Because that's what they were, quiet, smiling weapons. Behind the scenes, the response to their visit was chaotic. Some species saw it as a challenge, others as a revelation. The more observant ones saw it for what it truly was, a warning covered in silk. Earth didn't boast. They didn't bark. They just demonstrated. The Zarin military began a review of their own stealth protocols. The IVACs, known for their emotionless culture, ordered immediate research into Earth's historical warfare data. And the Draylen, who had scoffed on day one, quietly pulled back their border scouts from Earth's quadrant. Meanwhile, in a less formal section of the galactic capital, 3 diplomats from minor worlds gathered in a private chamber. "We've been playing politics with feathers and treaties," one muttered. "But Earth, they're from a world where every inch of life fights to survive." Another leaned forward. "What do we do?" The third sipped a glowing drink. "Make friends. Fast." Back on Earth, Ambassador Vance stepped into a darkened command center. It wasn't under the UN. It wasn't even technically listed anywhere. But it existed, and it watched. "Council's rattled," she said. A voice answered from the screen. "Rattled isn't enough. We need them thinking twice before they even plan something hostile." "We showed them restraint." "You showed them a muzzle," the voice replied. "Now let's remind them there are teeth under it." She nodded. In orbit around Mars, a fleet of defense drones adjusted their formation. On Titan, deep inside the frozen crust, something ancient and mechanical began to hum softly. Earth had revealed only a fraction of its capability. The rest remained in shadows. Elsewhere in the galaxy, news spread fast. Rumors turned into facts. Videos turned into study material. An Earth's file in the Central Archive was quietly updated. One new tag was added. Potential apex threat, do not provoke. A minor ambassador from the Threx Collective asked a question during a media session. Why did Earth wear suits? Why not armor? Why not something more aggressive? The response from Earth's Information Bureau was short. Because they didn't come for war. That night, a popular galactic program aired a segment titled 10 Signs You're Dealing with a Human. Most of it was played for laughs, dark suits, calm voices, constant observation. But the final entry was deadly serious. They don't talk about what they can do. They wait, and they watch. And if you force them, they act. Swift, precise, without mercy. In a deep space station orbiting a neutral world, a bounty hunter leaned against the bar. You heard about Earth? The bartender, a grizzled insectoid, nodded slowly. Yeah, heard they don't bluff. The bounty hunter smirked. Good. I don't like games. The bartender paused. Then don't play with humans. They're not playing. And far from all the chatter, in the dark void between stars, a single human vessel drifted silently. It wasn't large. It wasn't flashy. But it was listening. Because Earth hadn't come to conquer. They had come to witness. To remind the galaxy what happens when predators learn patience. A week had passed since Earth's delegation stepped into the Galactic Council chamber, and the galaxy still hadn't recovered. On a lush trade world near the Koro Belt, council members from over 20 species gathered in emergency session. The topic was singular, Earth. They're unpredictable, said the Roth delegate. But worse, they're precise. Another slammed a tentacle on the table. We can't let a species with that level of tactical prowess remain unmonitored. Not after what we saw. A hollow image flickered on. Humans calmly walking past automated defense systems. Their data shields unreadable. Expressions unreadable. Even their heartbeat patterns defied standard scans. The room went quiet. Then, the chairwoman of the summit, an ancient Mavari whose species once ruled 2/3 of the quadrant, spoke. Are you all forgetting? They smiled. The others looked confused. She raised a clawed hand. They smiled while knowing they could end us. Not because they wanted to, but because they had already calculated every outcome. We aren't used to that. We're used to fire and fury. Earth offers you a hand, and with the other, they're mapping how to destroy your fleet in under an hour. Her words sank like stones. In a quiet corridor, a young Velian aide whispered to her mentor. Are we supposed to fear them? The older advisor replied, no, we're supposed to respect them. That's what they wanted us to understand. Back on Earth, the internal mission log was being updated. Operation Grey Whisper had been deemed a success, but that didn't mean the show was over. In a secure hangar in low orbit, an unmarked vessel was prepped for launch. It didn't carry weapons. It carried observers. Quiet ones. They weren't going to attack, just to be seen. Humans had learned something ancient civilizations had long forgotten. Fear doesn't need fire. Sometimes, fear walks in wearing a suit, hands you a drink, and politely asks how many ships you've lost in simulation runs against an unknown tactical force. Because that's what had been happening. Simulations across the galaxy were quietly run by military and defense AI. In over 80% of those tests, the force modeled after human tactics won. Not through brute strength. Through deception, precision, willpower. One admiral of the Greenland fleet muttered, "They don't need numbers. They don't need tech supremacy. They are the supremacy." Meanwhile, Earth's representatives released a small, seemingly benign statement to the press. "We are always open to dialogue. We believe peace is strength." But between the lines, the real message was loud and clear. "We came in peace, but we're built for war. And worse, we're very good at it." A mining colony in a distant system received an anonymous warning signal. One word repeated in every known language. Observe. It wasn't a threat. It was advice. And throughout the galaxy, species once divided by greed or fear now found common ground in their discussions. The humans. What are they planning? Do they want power? Are they watching us? Yes, to all of it. In a quiet room on Earth, Ambassador Vance stared at a board of holos showing different council members. Her aide asked, "So what's next?" Vance smiled slightly. "Now we let them think." "Think about what?" She turned, voice calm. "Whether they're allies or prey." The Galactic Council had never moved this fast before. Emergency protocols, rewritten treaties, surveillance expanded across 3 sectors. All because of one thing, the presence of humans. Or more accurately, the implication of what humanity could do. The ambassadors from Earth had returned home, but their shadows still lingered in every corner of the galaxy. Their polite smiles haunted security briefings. Their calm tones echoed in war rooms. Their silence screamed louder than any declaration of war. Council meetings turned into analysis sessions. Entire think tanks were dedicated to understanding Earth's behavior. And still, the galaxy had no answer for one simple question. Why didn't they come with warships? Because everyone now understood they didn't need to. In a remote system known for isolation and peace, the native Scalarians held a private debate. One of their leaders asked, "Should we open diplomatic ties with Earth?" The elder responded, "Diplomatic? You mean defensive?" The others nodded grimly. Back on Earth, Ambassador Vance debriefed with the council. She wasn't smiling now. Her expression was clinical. "They responded exactly as expected," she said. "And the fear?" asked a general. She nodded once. "Global. Quiet. Productive." The general frowned. "You think they'll retaliate?" "No," she replied. "But they'll change. And we'll be ready when they do." Far from Earth, in a hidden observatory cloaked within a gas giant, alien analysts monitored hundreds of systems for signs of conflict. What they found instead was silence. No military buildups. No threats. No skirmishes. Just an eerie, planet-wide pause. It was as if the entire galaxy held its breath, watching Earth through a glass wall, unsure whether it was safe to tap. Then it happened. A minor empire in Sector 19 decided to test the waters. Their ships surrounded a small Terran trade post, attempting to negotiate through pressure. In 28 seconds, the Terran response arrived. Not a fleet, not soldiers, but a legal document signed, stamped, and approved by 20 separate galactic factions Earth had already secured influence over. Sanctions, embargoes, legal isolations. The minor empire collapsed in 3 days, without a single shot fired. That was Earth's war. And suddenly, the galaxy realized something else. The humans weren't playing the same game. They were redefining it. Back at the Galactic Council, whispers turned into admissions. "They never intended to fit in," said one admiral. "They came to dominate, through influence, not weapons." Someone else muttered, "What happens if we threaten them again?" Silence followed, because no one wanted to find out. On Earth, a small boy looked up at a museum exhibit showing humanity's first steps into the Galactic Alliance. His mother read the plaque aloud. "We came in peace. But peace was built from strength." The boy asked, "Are we the good guys?" His mother smiled faintly. "We're the ones they don't want to make angry." As the stars spun quietly in the void above, one fact became universally accepted. Earth hadn't sent diplomats. They had sent predators dressed like professionals. And the galaxy would never forget it.